الله الرحمن الرحيم.
I'm going to start as Muslims do, in the name of God. In alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. I greet you all, brothers, sisters and friends, with the Islamic greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Almighty Allah be upon you all. Brothers, sisters and friends, this is the profound question. This question is the question that must be answered in order for us to live a tranquil life. There's no running away from this question. There's no hiding in our caves, in our homes, or sticking our heads in the sand. Now is the time to think and reflect and answer this profound question. Who created you? Because if we do not reflect carefully on this question, then we will not have tranquil lives. The Quran, the book of the Muslims, which Muslims believe to be divine, is a book that points to this question. The Quran, the book of the Muslims, that Muslims believe to be a miracle, imposes itself on the whole of humanity. It intrudes into the mind of man. It imposes itself. But this imposition, brothers, sisters and friends, is a positive imposition. Because the Quran seeks to positively with your inner dimensions, with your aqliyah, with your intellect, with your nafsiyah, with your inner disposition. And the Quran achieves this by asking and answering these profound questions. أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ. Have you not seen the camel and how we created it? أَوَلَمْ يَتَفَكَّرُوا فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ. Do they not reflect within themselves? وَكَذَلِكَ نُفَصِّلُ الْآيَاتِ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. And thus do we explain our signs, our proofs, our evidences in detail for those who reflect. يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Do you know what this means in the Arabic language? It doesn't mean just to reflect, to be a desert romantic, to touch the sand and look at the stars. No, it actually means the thing that you're reflecting upon, you must look into what it really means. What does it mean to have natural law? What does it mean when we reflect upon the orbits? What does it mean when we look into our inner dimensions, our psychology, what it means to be a human being? What does it mean when we reflect upon anything? This is why the root word for tafakkur, to think, to reflect in the Quran, is used and mentioned over 18 times in the Quran. And it has meanings that mean to reflect deeply, to try and create an understanding about something, to comprehend. Must يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, be those who reflect. And upon reflection, brothers, sisters and friends, I would argue there are four very strong arguments for the existence of God. Strong, irrefutable arguments for the existence of God. Arguments that go against the face atheism Richard Dawkins, which he says in his famous book, The God Delusion, there almost certainly is no God. Arguments which he is the famous anti-theist. Do you know what that really means? And in his own words, he says, even if God were to exist, I would reject him. I would reject him. Because it would be like living under a dictatorship. And he quoted North Korea as an example. So these are the four arguments that go against the face of the neo-atheist story. Now is the time for us to use this Quranic method and find out what these arguments are. Let's summarize them. The existence of God makes sense of the origins of the whole universe. The existence of God makes sense of the order and the fine-tuning of the whole universe to allow your existence. God makes sense of right and wrong. God makes sense of what we truly to believe is right and wrong. And God makes sense of the miracle of the Quran. Because we must understand this question has two components. If God does exist, a creator does exist, and if he does, then who is he? And the only way, I will argue later, to find out who this creator is by revelation. Let's go to the first argument. Brothers, sisters and friends, we have all asked the same questions. Where did the universe come from? Where did it come from? Why does something exist rather than nothing? This is why the Quran, the book of the Muslims, it tells us, do you think the heavens and the earth were created out of nothing? Do you think it created itself? Or are we its creator? The Quran asks these questions. But atheists, typically, they've said that the universe never had a beginning and will never have an end. It's eternal. It's just there. That's why the famous atheist Bertrand Russell, he said on a radio show, the universe is just there and that's all. But there's a problem here, brothers and sisters. If we use a Quranic method of thinking to reflect and ponder and contemplate, we will understand that if the universe was eternal, then our history, our past is infinite. It's forever. But can we actually have anything in the real world? Does the infinite exist in the real world, brothers, sisters and friends? No. I'll give you an example. If there was an infinite number of people in this room, and I take 2 people away, how many people do I have left? Infinity minus 2. But can we actually count in the real world what is infinity minus 2? No, because it just exists in the mathematical realm. In the real world, the infinity does not exist at all. Let's take another example. Say we have 100 bananas in this room. Okay? Imagine I'm a big monkey. Okay? We have 100 bananas in this room. At every moment, I add another banana, another banana, another banana, and another banana. Will I ever reach the infinite number of bananas? No.
If you are immortal.
But you could put infinity plus 1. I could always add another banana. So the infinite will never be real. It would be what the philosophers call potential. You can get to the infinity, but you will never reach the infinity. So the summary of this argument is, brothers, sisters and friends, that the infinite doesn't exist in the real world. So that would mean the universe's history, its past, cannot be infinite either. Because events and history is a real thing. It doesn't exist like the philosophers in an abstract reality like mathematics. So it necessitates that there must have been a beginning to our history, and therefore there must have been a beginning to the universe. Now, this might sound like philosophical mumbo jumbo, but I know there's many scientists in the room amongst you. And this is also supported by contemporary, modern, scientific, astrophysical evidence. Who's heard of the Big Bang? Put your hand up. Nearly everybody. And I assure you it's not that thing that happens after too many curries. Okay? According to the Big Bang, brothers and sisters, and according to